Welcome back to the Good Wife podcast. This is part 2 of our conversation on friendship. If you haven't watched the first part, I highly advise that you first go watch part 1, because then part 2 will make a lot of sense. We're talking about friendship, how men and women see friendship, and how friendship changes when you enter the marriage space. So if that's a conversation you want to be part of, do remember to subscribe and give this episode a thumbs up. Welcome back.
What is best? Do you have a best friend?
I don't know, guys. For sure. That's a tricky question.
Internet does not forget.
Yeah, it does not forget. Yeah.
The one who thinks best friend.
Yeah.
Like,
side eye. So maybe I'll say, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. I think that whole principle of spouse being a best friend is the thinking that you can get to a place where you can talk to your spouse about anything freely.
Yeah.
I think for me that's my understanding of it.
Yeah.
Because when you just, I guess, because I think with best friend, or the misconception, I think is the whole thing of they're your everything.
Yeah.
I guess, you
Yeah.
hang with them, they're the outlet for the work thing, you're consulting him on outfits for the thing, you're this, I don't think there's even a husband who wants to be the go-to for all of that stuff.
No. Yeah, that's true.
So I would say maybe it would be more about, is it realistic to expect you to get to a place where you can comfortably talk to your partner?
A good friendship.
About everything.
Yeah.
So a close friendship.
Yeah.
Or maybe say that your closest friendship.
Yes.
Does that make sense? Versus
so
best? Maybe closest.
Using words like closest and best, create a ranking system. Which is unrealistic.
And
because
can another lady be above that your wife in rank?
Yes.
In this friendship.
And then
they're in a different pool.
Exactly. The
They're not
boxers
even-
do not.
You're spoken like a man.
Yeah.
Talk to your wife. No, honey. These are different leagues.
Yes.
Masaza Cup.
Yes, Champions League. Yes.
You are the champion in Champions League.
But the boxers don't touch.
boxers
And therefore
don't
you
touch.
can't rank them.
Yeah.
You can't rank the friends. Should your partner be a really good friend? Yes, you should need to have a really good friendship. But sometimes the pressure to be best friend is really a pressure to be, I want to be the most
You are my
valued
all.
person in your life.
Yes.
And so it's a search for that kind of validation.
Yeah.
That I am the first, which I think is, again, unrealistic. And for example, no.
I've been at this thing for 18 years.
Let him
Speak
finish.
Let me finish.
Yeah.
So you speak about your relationship with. So you date someone and they want you to be, as you said, their father, their husband. You go shopping with them.
Their gossip.
At some point, that will strain your relationship because they can't be all those things.
Yeah.
And I think the way maybe we are created as human beings is we have a vast group of needs, and therefore you have to figure out which people are going to fulfill those needs.
Yeah.
No one person is equipped to fulfill all your needs.
Yeah.
And I think that's where when people say best friend, the expression is like
Too
this
much
person.
pressure.
Yeah, and it's just too much pressure. And I think maybe women might like it when it's scary. When he's
my best friend.
Yeah, because I guess of the weight that it suggests,
the implications.
Is what. And I think to your point, I think this is where a healthy relationship with God comes in.
Yeah.
For starters.
Yeah.
Because I think that unhealthy weight and burden of expectation from friends, from spouses, etc., comes from a place of drawing strength from people who are incapable of meeting you, for starters. And so there's a lot of things that you need to navigate with God that once you misplace or give somebody, you're going to be frustrated your whole life.
Yeah.
So there's that. And so depending on what school of thought you are, whatever, some of this might sound like, but so I think that's fundamental.
Yep.
And I think once you have a healthy pulse on that, you actually experience the ability to extend grace, because all of these people are human beings, our friends,
just
our spouses,
like
etc. So you start to extend grace, and you start to make your expectations a lot more realistic, because as humans, we are flawed.
Yeah.
And I think with the spouse, I guess it's on people to figure out I guess, what is your desired friendship level and what
With
does
your
it look like, and
spouse, yes.
and have a conversation about it. So
Yeah.
I think when you're dating or whatever, I don't know what we're talking about while they're having all these coffees. Some of them are just reeling and all of that, and not
Yeah.
really having these deep conversations.
Talk to me from the heart.
Yeah,
Bruh.
yeah. But I think all of that starts at that level where you want to be honest about, look, are you looking for? Because when I'm also assuming, I don't know what happens at 18. But I'm assuming, like, at a certain level, you need some solid gangoness.
Yeah.
Because even before that, like, marriage has a lot of mundane, just everyday, I don't say nothingness, but just everyday stuff. Yeah. Which, if you're not married to your home, it can be kind of boring.
Yeah.
Kind of boring. So I guess you want to figure out what that looks like for you.
Yeah.
And then you nurture it. Because it also you're not born in like a good friendship.
No.
You
have
do
to
that
build
time,
it,
yes,
yeah.
you do that time and you nurture it, and I think voice the expectations, because that's where the frustration comes from. In her mind, she's like, you need to be my bestie, right? She probably has not told you that, so she's rating you below par,
Yeah.
and as far as she's concerned, you're not meeting the mark. As far as you're concerned, you're providing, you're available, you're making sure things are good, you're active in
talking
the
from
children's
the
life,
heart.
you're talking from the heart, or at least you've learned, you're
Or at
listening
least,
to
or
her.
you think you
Or
know
you
what
think
they are.
you learn,
But then they're looking at your heart and saying, no, it's not coming
not
from
coming.
Yeah, that's the intestines, not the heart. So yeah.
My thoughts on this, and for me, I like to think my wife is my best friend. Yeah. But the title,
Yeah, right.
sweet,
It was
needed to.
Yeah, we need to.
Atka sound is in my heart. I stay in a girls' hostel. I have, Anyway, so anyway, but the title best friend is not one that's just baptized on you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it goes back to the thing we're talking about, foundation. Yeah, what makes a best friend? It's the amount of input. That you don't just baptize me. You may now kiss the bride. Also now she's now your best friend. No, so you work on it. It doesn't happen in autopilot or whatever. But over time, because of how much time you spend with each other, you are physically intimate. Yeah, that already brings you really. It brings the gap already closes. Yeah.
Yes.
Then she's seen all your sides. I mean,
Yeah.
Em is my good friend. Yeah. If I was holding a fat right now, I can't unleash it. Yeah? With all due respect.
Absolutely, I think
My wife, on the other hand, we are watching TV. You just and she's like, what did you eat? And I'm like, yo, what did you cook? So that's the freedom we have, because and so we're intimate at those levels. She's seen all my ups and downs. You can pretend out here. You can't pretend with your wife. Your wife really knows you.
Yeah.
Maybe you can't, but you can be killing it on podcasts. She's like,
you're telling them
you
about
tell
this
those
stuff.
ones. You tell them, I know you.
Yeah, I know you.
You've left holes at home and you've gone to tell people the
So
stories.
I think it should actually be the goal. To say because this is who you are going to be doing life with, hopefully till
The rest
death
of
do
your
you
life.
part.
Yeah.
And for example, I think if I was to get married again, I
where
don't
would
have
I
the
start?
energy.
Yeah.
Do you know how much work I've put here?
No need to.
Not even.
Let's
But it shows you that work has happened.
Work has
Yeah.
been put, yes.
I've said, now if I die now, who would you? I'm like, one night, where do I? Who
I
knows
tell
my
you, would
words,
marry
how I
again.
work?
We know you.
How?
That's another topic for
You
now.
don't know the number of teaspoons in of sugar in your tea.
You have to explain to her.
Interesting, there was a gentleman who lost his wife and he just couldn't. He didn't know where his tea was. He just could not.
He followed
so
her.
his child had to come into the house for a while to just help him. Yeah, you don't, because like there are things you don't know where they're in the house. You wake up, you find it.
How do you switch on this thing?
So what I was going to say, in line with what they've said, then maybe we can rephrase best friend to say that I think if anybody is wondering, okay, what's the goal? We've talked about context, we've talked about bestie and farting. So I'd say maybe the goal would be, at least for me, I think the goal should be to get to a place where your spouse is the one person you can be fully naked with.
Yeah. I think that's fair. Yeah.
And unashamed.
I think that's fair. And
Yes.
Sometimes it is a bit of shame. It's not shame. You got to be ashamed.
I accept you the way you
Yeah,
are.
because depending on what it is.
Yeah.
Some
We
can
need
be
to
there, but
start to wind up, but
Yeah.
there's a question I've been dying to ask you
Oh,
guys
sure. That
on opposite sex friendship. Do you think that those can remain truly platonic, especially when you are married, when you become married? I feel like the lines become very blurry for many couples. So I want us to share our sentiments on that. When you got married and your friendships that you had, some of them from P2, prior to you getting married. And then I want you to bundle that with you have a friend who doesn't approve of your relationship or maybe of the spouse that you have chosen. And therefore, it makes the friendship complicated because it's almost like I don't approve of your wife or I don't approve of your husband. But then this friendship it has been nurtured since, our
also
working
grown.
days. It has also
It has a
grown.
strong foundation.
Right?
So, I'll just start with that last one. Of course, I think it depends how they disagree, right? There are people who disagree very disrespectfully, and that's a line you don't cross. Yeah. But there are people who, it might come from a place that they think is a good place, and they don't think this person is good for
right
you,
for you.
whatever, and all those things. But you've made your choice. They will show up for you. Regardless of their
how they
disagreement
feel.
of how they
Okay.
feel, they will tell you how they feel, but they will still, be present. So, I think there are those two different distinctions. And I think the beauty again of having boxes, with guys is you can disagree with half my life and still be my friend.
You just engage when I'm
When you're not with the wife.
Yeah, as in you can. No, but I might even engage when you're with them. You might even
Is the
come,
cost clear?
and they might even engage with you, but you know what their feelings and opinions are towards that, and it's okay.
I guess if they're respectful.
And if they are respectful, disagreements. You might be there, you vibe the guy's sister for 8 years. The guy was sure, and then you just did a switch, right? And then now he has to also deal with
the
those,
aftermath
those
of that.
emotions and things like that. So there is that aspect has to be appreciated. That things can be different. As regards the
friends of the
opposite sex. Again, I think it's a boundaries thing, and I think sometimes we don't set them very well, or we assume these boundaries will set themselves. You just
M is itchy.
She has not said anything.
Watching M special reaction. M can't hide what she's thinking. It's not fair.
The boundaries set themselves.
But sometimes you feel like the boundaries.
No, but he's right.
Yeah, you never think about it. Again, you never say it. You never say I'm a line you cannot cross. You never say that this is something you cannot say. You never say any of those things, and you assume that the other person should know, or you assume that you will always be strong enough or strong-willed enough or all those things to be able to not cross
the
that line.
Like I've said many things, but can you be friends with another woman?
I think the answer is yes.
Platonic.
I think the answer is yes. Yeah. The caveat is this though. Are you having a friendship with another woman that your wife does not know about?
Yes.
Then it becomes a very dark area.
Yes.
Right? Because then
as long as the wife knows,
as long as she has a purview of that friendship and what it looks like and what the boundaries look like, I don't think there would be problems.
An issue.
Right?
Does the wife have the power, the rights to say that friend, control, delete?
She has the power to suggest. But whether you do it or not is dependent.
I feel like Ronnie is trying to set you up.
But it's the truth. She can't make you a friendship, right? She has the power to say, look, I don't like this friend, and there have to be some valid reasons as to why. Because sometimes they don't like your bad days, just because these are the people. Have you ever met someone when you meet? You're in the corner there laughing your jokes, and then your wife is just like, what are those people talking about? It's a real laugh from the heart. And so the disagreement with that friendship is not based on any basis. It's very based on a competition, or it's based
just
on
like insecurity.
Exactly. But if there's an actual disagreement on the friendship, I think it must.
And it has like proper merits. You can discuss it and say, okay, I see how this would be detrimental to.
But also sometimes you don't see things the way the other person is seeing them.
Absolutely.
You're seeing this person, me.
Yeah.
You know, for example, I mean, you might be married to someone who doesn't believe you should be hugging other people, and we meet with Amy in the street, and you and it say, long hug, or how are you? How have you been? And you have conversations about that.
Can even climb you.
And then this person is just like, who is this?
Who is this person?
First of all, I've never had a bite. You have not seen Emily in 6 years. So you've been married for 6 years. In the context of your relationship, Emily is not there. And then it becomes,
climbing.
That's so true. You know, I keep telling my husband that you men, you underestimate women.
Yeah.
You have friendships with women, and like you said, you don't put the boundaries. You
Alright,
assume.
so you don't see what me, I see what she's up to.
No. I mean, and experience and stories have shown us that women can be very calculative. I mean, the fact that we think about friendships this intricately means I can set myself up to have a certain position in your life.
I want to be a part of your family.
I
want to be a part of your family.
So now the combination of those two
things. And I just wanted to say that, just to validate what you're saying. And I think a lot of men don't think about boundaries, I guess the way women think about them. Because you guys have friendships, you have female friendships, and often, by the way, they're innocent. But then there'll be a thing. And you have said that we have to present that case. Unfortunately, many times you will not see the subtle thing because it's like, what does that mean? That just sounds like you're being insecure.
She just called me to go and rescue her from what? And
the hacker had broken it down.
As if you are the only man.
I happen to be the one who she called.
Let her call her brother. Anyway, I just wanted to say that. Then as M
But okay, should I come in over?
No, you can go ahead, Ron.
So, that question, this is what my wife told me to say.
Look at that camera.
This is what the answer is no. Now that I've said it. Anyway, the truth is, friendships outside of marriage. And first eventually of the opposite sex, all of them can have an impact, and you have to be very careful. I mean, even you as a married woman can be like, your girlfriend calls you, she's like, let's go for dinner tonight. You're like, let me first call my husband. It's like, what?
Why do you have to call him?
Is he the boss of you? Don't you have your independent? There are those single friends who don't make heck about, the dynamic. And that can be a bias on you, and you say, by the way, I'm an adult. I don't know what, mama.
Problems at home.
So you need to be smart enough to know, be like, girlfriend,
where your bread is
where who's buttering your bread or whatever, or who you are in the long haul with. And sometimes the easiest thing you just wait. You put your spouse here and put the other friend here, and say, if it was, it's not a question. It's like, yo, bro, it's not that deep, manga. So. Can you be friends with? I mean, I have many friends. Before we got married, I had friends. And and truth be told, a lot of my friendships are not as deep as I have already. Right. But there are friends who we have had to agree, and the wife is like, I don't like how
so and so.
I'm like, what? And you can also tell, even as a man, there are times where it starts to become a bit secretive of like, if they knew that we have had this coffee, and that's where trouble starts to brew from. Because where you are starting to have to hide, this is Rachel. Rachel, Ben's wife. And you're like, why am I even feeling guilty? Why am I? So it starts to show you. The truth is, at the end of the day, and it boils down to the question, can I be best friends? Or whether best friends is too much with a person of the opposite sex other than my wife? And the true answer is no. Yes, you guys can say platonic, But no, you can't. Even that bestie of yours who's a man, you're like, he's just a bestie. He's just a bestie because you have set clear boundaries.
Yeah.
If you test and just test bestie and say,
Yes.
bestie, where are you? I was like, Mama, I was sour, you're not best friend. I was like, okay, yeah. So best friend is just there hanging. But yes, his best friend is coming to rescue your car, is coming to work, but it's because you've just clearly defined those boundaries.
Yeah.
The minute you allow a car crack, best friend can slide in, and you won't know where that came from. Yeah. So the rule of thumb for me is, if the wife doesn't know, if there's any secrecy around it, it just starts to become shady. It becomes hard work even for me. Yeah,
Be your friend.
Then you have texted me. I'm like, now this control delete kubang. Now I'll have to. Oh, so what was she saying? You're like, oh no, demo archives. I'm like, it's work. Yeah,
It's a lot of work.
My phone is there. What has Gundi said? Suppose my wife reads it, and now I have to take her. But now you know. So, I met her. So it's too much. Yeah. So,
and I think I'll pick up from where you left off. Actually, like a month ago, a friend and I were bantering about this, and he said, "You know what? I don't think so." And he used this analogy of it's like telling a hyena to keep a chicken. Yeah,
and keep it only to fatten it.
Yeah. So that association only works when the fence is up. Once the fence is cut,
It's
the hyena,
it's a matter of time.
more often than not,
Yes.
will eat the chicken.
Yes.
In this scenario, the hyena being the man, and the
Some
chicken being the
hyenas are
woman.
women.
But also the other way. So it could play each way. And this is something that, I've gone back and forth in my mind and in many conversations. And I think a scripture that I think about when I think about this is how many things are lawful but not necessarily beneficial. And I think that's a valuable scripture when you're coming to navigate this friendship thing and weighing and all of that, especially if your partner is uncomfortable and XY is one. I think whichever party is uncomfortable, I think the beauty with friendship with your partner and the kind that we're aspiring to have is to get to this place where you can be honest and say, look, we were that party. I saw you guys laughing in the corner. And you laughed in a way that I have not seen you laugh in the last couple of years, right? And it made me feel some type of way. I kind of feel, and I'm just being honest about this. And I'm like, and that's why she makes me uncomfortable. And I feel like every time she's at things, you guys connect in a way that we haven't. And so I think we need to. So I think then
you don't get my joke.
Guys, yourself.
Them like,
and so I think that so there's one is uncomfortable parties need to get to a place where they can unpack discomfort, because sometimes when you're saying I don't know, there's just a thing, it's also hard to say delete the friend based on a thing. Yeah, but I think a thing that helps, which we've kind of all alluded to, and I think David started, was, and what I've seen helpful. So, can you have opposite sex friendships, while being married? I think you can. I think that transparency and carrying your partner along that journey is important. And I think depending on how you're wired, it could be easier for some people than others. So I think if you're a person who shares, like now for me, I'll say I've just started a job and Ronnie sits next to me. I'll come home. Oh, there's this guy, Ronnie. My gosh, he's so funny. He's so what? He's so da. So, and because of how I share, when 3 months later, I'm like, oh, Ronnie is at the mall nearby. I'm going to meet him for coffee. Even my husband is not shocked because you can kind of see, you can yes. And I've also been transparent about like how Ronnie and I engage. I mean, I'll probably be honest about what I potentially like about Ronnie, etc. And so I'll have given you enough information to decide. Yeah.
Are you comfortable?
Yeah. And when that invite
Ronnie has not just shown up from nowhere.
Yes. And when that invite is extended, I will say, yo, Ronnie's in the neighborhood. He's messaged me. I'd actually like to catch up with him. Cool. I think the challenge comes when you've never talked about Ronnie, and then all of a sudden, Ronnie and I are having all of these engagements. So I think sometimes the fear comes from not knowing.
Yeah.
Where has Ronnie come from? What's the dynamic of
Ronnie, I have to
friendships?
say Ronnie right now.
Yeah, etc.
Ronnie,
Yeah, and
please.
then Ronnie is being referenced. Oh yeah, Ronnie and I were chatting about this, right?
Yeah, I had
And
this
it's
report.
like-
Ronnie read through it and helped me edit the.
Yeah,
and-
it's like,
I
you know,
used to be the
what's
editor of
that about?
reports.
Yeah,
now Ronnie's editing reports.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah. So I think
Ronnie sent me this recipe. Ronnie is in the
Ronnie-
kitchen.
Ronnie,
Where else has
memes,
Ronnie
guys,
reached now?
memes. The
He
people
has
who send you
memes.
memes.
No, yes. So yeah, so I think for me there's a responsibility to carry your partner on
Yeah.
in said journeys
Friendships.
as you're making friends.
Yeah.
Being able to unpack discomfort and communicate it clearly to help your partner help you.
Yeah.
But I think also at the bedrock of all of this is nurturing your relationship as a couple. Because I find that a lot of the mistrust and discomfort comes from a place of disconnect, maybe feeling like there is a deficit in empathy, questioning the quality of your connection and friendship as a couple. And so now sometimes there's nothing wrong with that other girl or that other guy, but you're
there's a
just
gap.
looking for
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
there's something wrong
There's
here.
something wrong
She's
here.
not the issue, but I'm trying to
So you're
find
like,
where I'm like, actually
It
that's the
amplifies
issue.
what's happening
Yes,
at home.
yes.
Yeah.
So I find, and not to simplify marriage, I mean I'm not on 18, I'm on 5.
You're on the 5.
We're this side.
Yeah.
we're this side.
How many years?
But I
12.
genuinely,
Yeah.
but I
We are this
genuinely
side.
feel like you save yourself so much by being transparent.
Yeah.
By being
Yes.
transparent,
Yeah.
because then things can be, dealt with.
Yeah.
But also your partner can help you with this boundaries thing, because if you have a good friendship and you're talking and whatnot, then your partner can also be like, hey man, I feel like the frequency is like shouldn't
It's
yeah.
off.
But also that makes the assumption that the other person has dealt with everything that they did
And they have no ulterior
before they came
motives.
into this relationship, right?
Yes,
Which is
yes,
normal,
yes,
because
yes.
sometimes people start with transparency and they realize that being transparency brings you more problems.
Say, hey, but I already told you about it. Actually, it checks the box. Oh, Ronnie, all the other Ronnie. Then now whatever you do with Ronnie.
Because we meet these people after we have dealt with 20, 30 years of our lives. I think my wife says, I think therapy should be mandatory before you get married.
Absolutely.
Because sometimes you walk into a relationship and you're transparent. You're like, oh, you know what, M, who is M? How do you? And then it just becomes, now sharing becomes a
therapy.
Problem.
problem.
Yes.
So I think it what we're saying here makes the assumption that the person that you people have
done personal work.
Yes, you have done personal work.
Yes.
And I think if we haven't done personal work, then I think it's important to go back and examine some of those things and why you do the things that you do.
Yeah.
Because then that affects how you relate with your partner and how you take the things that they tell you.
Yeah.
Because
For me,
some things
I've
are
done
We need to
research.
wrap up. So Ronnie, after you.
I've done research,
You've
and this
done
can even
research.
be my wrap up on the 18 years of research.
18.
I think it really boils down, and as ladies, you can confirm. Yeah, transparency, yes, is great, and it's a subset of the whole. It's of the whole thing. Transparency is not enough. Yeah, in fact, there are player guys out there who transparency is even their card.
Yes, no, that's
He brings out, this is M, we're what?
But hiding in plain sight.
So it's hiding in plain sight.
yes.
And you're like, M, yeah. So it's not. I think the issue many times, and it's not just the ladies' side, even the guys. It's an issue of is my position as number one? Am I still number one? Am I, because yes, you're going to meet
The
M.
foundation of the
That's why you
relationship
look at
is
M,
what
you're like, she has this or that. She's prettier than me. Or naturally, that's going to put the lady in like, okay, yes, she's your workmate, but can even be like,
They should fire her.
before you know,
Be transparent.
she's saying, Johanny, there is a new job offer here. Have you applied? Over? Applying for what? No, it's just an issue of, is the position of my wife in my heart or whatever, and question, does she feel, my wife has had some challenges either with some friends and be like, but so and so, and then when she gets to know them, the threat is
gone.
squashed.
Yeah.
It's like ash. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes at my work, my team building work, sometimes we have to travel. You've gone to all these places, and I don't only travel with men. Sometimes there's a lady or two on the what,
On the team.
and they'll be like, who have you gone with again? There are those where you this one can go
For
how many
because I
days?
feel like you know.
Yeah.
So it's an issue of, is my wife's position being questioned?
Yeah.
If I can jump out of the blue to run and
relationship.
fix some chick's flat tire, yet I'm not doing. Yet my wife just asked me for the ABCD, and
You
I'm
had no
like,
baggage, yes.
then you are starting to and the same applies. So there are friends who we have talked about, and my wife is like, and I don't. You can't even think twice about it. It's like, control, delete, you just fade out.
Yeah.
There's some I've had her. I'm like,
That's why.
me, I'm a guy. I know guys.
I know.
Yeah.
I know what
He's
he's
being
doing.
like, and then chicks can't hide when she has either hung with him. Then you're like, did you talk to
talk
so
to
and
her?
how did you know? I can hear his voice in your thought process. These are not your ideas. Ogutu is whispering in your ear. I'm like, Ogutu is up to no good. Yeah? And for the sake of our one, we just agree. And it's unfair. Ogutu has done nothing. And sometimes it's hard for me to, I don't come and tell Rachel, now Rachel,
You don't have
from
to.
henceforth,
we're not going to be
we
friends.
are not,
Because the wife has
said, no,
Just manage
it's
it,
just you manage
then,
it like a slow fed. You
yeah.
just pull out and
Pull down the feather.
Yeah, you just lower the
Put like
feather. Like Emma said, the whole issue of someone just showing up from nowhere. You can call her and say, I read something with the girl. I was like, yeah, honey, I had an accident and my leg is broken. They have put me on drip, but thank God Irene saved me and called the doctor quickly. The wife was like, who is Irene?
Not as a guy.
My leg has been amputated. And I say, yeah. Who is Irene?
Then they get annoyed that you're not caring about the amputated.
So just ensure your spouse's position is not questioned.
And I think there are things that you can do for your spouse to show them that they are number one in your life.
Even if you don't, she tests. She can say, okay, okay, don't go. There's really no reason why you shouldn't, but but just for her, sure, you're like, Charlie, it's not a big deal.
Because I have friends who's trying to see which one
Rachel can go and hug.
Wow.
Rachel, I'm afraid Nandia got in.
Samuel, I have a family emergency.
When you see your wife's her assurance is like,
I am Queen B. I'm Queen B.
It's like how God said sacrifice your son. It's like, okay, don't then before you know, she's like, you know what, you go. Like, because her position is not in question.
I think in addition to that, and I think David said it earlier around the assumption we're making with people doing, their own work as they then journey to meet people, date, and get married. I think that work is potentially the most important thing you could possibly do in a marriage, because more often than not, in the heat of conflict, there's me issues, there's you issues that are probably magnifying then this thing that we're arguing about. And depending on the degree to which we've done our individual work, you almost cannot have an objective conversation about anything. And so what then tends to happen is sometimes things that are your issues, you're now putting on your partner or expecting your partner to deal or expecting him to address all your insecurities from here to China and back, right? And it's like, man, like I'm not, asking him, And so I think for me, it's like, as you're making sure your foundation is solid, I think committing to that continuous journey of understanding yourself and your demons and addressing them. And so when things like that, so if it's a friendship that's triggered you, I think getting to a place where as you're trying to unpack it, also just get to the root of why is this really an issue? Is this a me thing? It's an us thing. Because it could be an us thing, and then maybe it's okay, we need to figure out some stuff. But it also could be a me thing.
Or both.
Or both. Yeah. And I think also having the humility
to allow when it is a me thing.
The humility. Yes.
The maturity.
Yes. And maturity to admit when it's a you thing. And a gracious partner can still step away even if it's a you thing. Yeah. On the accord of you, thinking that.
Admitting.
Yes, admitting that.
And that's reassuring for you.
And that's reassuring.
We need to wrap this up because we can talk about this the entire day knowing you guys will just send for food. I want you to speak to the spouse who is feeling like, oh, my partner is not my friend, is there anything that they can do? So these are your parting shots, but also to share wisdom that you have learned about friendship. I know you've said so much, but I want you to wrap it up in one submission.
Yeah.
Wisdom about friendship in the marriage context. So whether that's to the spouse and how they manage relationships outside of the marriage context. I'm trying to bundle two questions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I should start with 18-year-old.
All right. 18-year-old
Calm
experience.
down.
Yeah.
Adult experience.
Over time, it gets easier.
Okay.
Yeah, it gets
That's
easier.
encouraging.
And you should know you're going to have those fights and you're
They-
going to have
they encourage.
insecurities.
Yeah.
And
That is not. It is not set in stone. Some point it becomes harder over time.
okay, if,
Okay.
as long as hopefully
All
both
factors.
parties,
Certain is paramount.
yes,
Yeah.
as long as both parties are willing.
Yeah, yeah.
The truth of the matter is nothing happens in autopilot. Yeah,
true.
there has to be work.
Yeah.
And sometimes you're the one who does a little more work because your person is not yet seeing it. Then and it's a ping pong thing.
Yeah,
and sometimes you're
absolutely.
putting in the same amount of effort. But the truth is, when you get married, the two become one. Yeah, I did my vows, forsaking all others. I cling to you alone. And so there is a separation. In Bible times, when you got married, you were supposed to spend honeymoon was a whole year. Yeah. In other words, that year of bonding,
I would have loved that.
talking,
I know, right?
in economy.
Capital.
Yeah.
Colleagues, there will be no money.
Yeah. So, and I think the goal was, because the truth is, friendship, like we have said, doesn't happen. It happens by time. Enough water has to go
Yeah.
under the bridge for you to become
Solid.
solid. Yeah. Now, before I got married, I've built foundations with so many people, and they might even be at higher depth in as far as friendship is concerned, than with my spouse.
Some need to
Yeah.
crumble a bit.
Now, that doesn't mean you get a thingy and you start hammering foundations so that they can fall. If you have to, so be it. Yeah. But the goal is to spend as much time, do things together, grow. I mean, this is the person you're going to spend the rest of your life with. So you have to be deliberate. What do they like? What do I like? What do we want? Can we find common denominators? There are things I know about now which I don't like. Yeah, but I'm involved. Yeah, come and see. Yeah, this flower. But and then before you know, you start to like the flower. You're like, oh, that's a hydrangea. This is a blah 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 blah, and it starts to grow over time. But the mistakes some people make, especially young ladies, who are like, but those are my friends. Does he want me to just chuck them? Yeah, you're going to have to cut your friends off for a while. Yeah, so that you can, because what's your priority?
What's your priority?
Yeah. And it has to be, I'm saying too much. I think the nutshell is that there's compromise. Yeah, you have to be willing. You can't say, let him meet me from this side of the room and walk all the way here, or you need to be able to meet in the middle.
Yeah.
I'm going to cut out some friends. I've been going out every night. Maybe for the sake of my husband, he's not happy about this. Girlfriend, sorry, I can only see you on. Yeah, I'm going to be with my boo. And at the start, it's not as fun. Quite frankly, you would have had a bigger blast the other side. Yeah, but because it is what it is. Yeah,
Yes.
I see my wife trying to football. And she's like, hey, Arsenal got a corner, eh? I'm like, yeah.
Please go and watch the game.
I'm like, honey, you know what? I appreciate it.
Yeah, I see that effort.
I see E for effort. Yeah, but let me go and watch the boys. It's not. It's like, it's Arsenal. They're the ones. They're playing in red. Hey, and Manuel, which ones? I'm like, guys, they're in red. Of course, Manuel, the other ones in the other color. But we're just trying.
Yeah.
She's trying, and you can see she's putting effort. I'm also putting my effort to go and do flowers or whatever. So cultivate it. It can't happen in autopilot.
Yeah, I guess one encouragement to somebody who's watching this and feeling like you're
How
not
can
a
I have
friend.
that?
Yeah, absolutely. You can have anything. Like, I don't even intend to sound like some, but you can have anything that you dare to dream and think and embrace, right? As possible, right? And I think if there's anything that we're all saying is we didn't wake up like this with our people. It's been intentional. It's been nurtured as you grow as individuals and as you grow together. And I think for me, it's also just coming off high horses and expecting your partner to pursue you. But I think going both ways, taking an interest. I think it's one of the pastors at Watoto used to say when I was younger. I mean, at that point it didn't make sense, but now I remember it. I think it was something about remain interesting and interested
Yeah.
in your partner.
Yeah.
So the individual growth is important to just keep you fresh and vibrant and smart and what, like for your husband to come and want to vibe you all over again, right? But then in the same breath, get to know what he's about and what he's interested in, so that from time to time, as you're creating opportunities to connect, you're mindful of the things, the interests that you share, so that you can fuel that, which then nurtures the friendship. Yeah. But I think overall wisdom with this friendship thing, I know we've unpacked it, put systems, what is saying. It's necessary.
Yes.
Like, hey,
It's
Jesus had
inevitable.
friends.
Yes.
So I'm just like, I don't know. Yeah.
He lost one along the way,
they
but
denied him, but
but you that 3 times.
They denied him, betrayed him.
But I'm like, friendship is it adds color to life.
Yeah, it does.
It adds color to life, and I think what makes life rich is sharing it with people.
Yeah.
And those are our friends. And I think for me, it's just to challenge anyone. So in the context of marriage, or just generally, you're watching this, you thought about someone, you haven't seen them in a while, maybe you missed that friendship. I think also don't be scared to reach out to people and be like, I miss you. We used to hang out a lot. We don't hang out as much anymore. Life has happened. Can we
fix the thing?
Can we fix the thing?
As you adult,
As you grow.
Yeah. I'm like, man, this cat toddler took me.
Good old days laugh.
This cat toddler took me, but I'm back for phase 2. And to you.
Have coffee with them.
And I think just reach out and create the friendships that you want to experience.
Yeah, like I think relationships are built around like a shared thing. You have like there's a shared thing. There's a common denominator. And I think like for that person who is like, like I think either everyone is on their own side and saying this one needs to move. But like find something that you both like to do and do it. Do it. And sometimes I think sometimes we, again, the thing of speak from the heart. Sometimes it will start with you do it in silence, then you'll do it with one comment, and then do it with 3, and then do it with 10, and
you learn.
Then next you're calling the person, hey, come and
exactly, and that's just how it is. I think the expectation that so I reference sitcoms a lot because they give us a terrible view on life. Right? The guy is always funny. He always has the joke. He always says the right thing. Like everything just seems to flow naturally. And therefore, a lot of us don't know how to deal with silence. They don't have to deal with the awkwardness of we're just going to sit here and we're going to but we're here. We are
and that's okay as well.
And that's fine. What have I done?
Exactly.
You want to leave me? What's on your mind?
What's on your mind? Nothing. You're really not thinking about it. I think that becomes a problem. And I think if you find a shared thing, if it is okay, you both like to take walks, whatever. Then you start. So first walk will be in silence. The second, and then eventually it will come like that. I think the expectation, if the first walk now you're going to be talking from the heart, then it's going to be very complicated stuff. But also, like, anyway, this is a bit like left field. But like, guys, if you have children, hug them and tell them they are loved. It will save them a lot of these problems.
These adult
way down in life. To save them from bleeding on other people. It will help them enter relationships with a healthy mindset of things. So like don't leave your children with the friendship emptiness. Right? Because like we parents are the first definition of friendships and how they define those things. And therefore, how your people are going to react to friendships across life is going to be very, very colored by that type of relationship. Exactly. The relationship is fleeting and whatever, then people might not ever be able to build, long-lasting friendships and all those things. So hug your children, love them.
True. Yeah. One
like
last thing.
Half a thing. And I'll blame it on him because he reminded me. So true what he says about kids. I remember when my brother had his first daughter, I said to him that you really need to nurture that relationship because a lot of the way we interact with the world comes from the attachment styles when we were young. And so you want to make sure that you cultivate a secure attachment, because when your child grows up with that, they are not paranoid. So like when a call is missed or whatnot, their default is not that you ignored, because they are secure and they know without a doubt that they are worthy. And so some of that questioning comes from a rooted feeling of unworthiness. So a lot of us have the opportunity to help people with that personal work. The people in our homes now.
So that's when you're on the show like this,
that
starting
they're very
like,
sort
my
of
mother
grounded.
For me, my mother told me.
Yes, exactly. And the other thing I was going to say that I thought about, so you see the two O's in Good Wife.
Yeah.
I like to, and I think, Rachel, the last time I was well, not here, but here, I kind of talked about this. So I agree with Ronnie when he says to become one.
Yeah.
I think it's a Venn diagram and not necessarily a subset where one circle
I think
cannibalizes.
they need to see it, so show them.
That's the
will
camera.
zoom in.
Yeah.
Oh, they'll zoom in. Yeah. So I think it's sort of Venn diagram versus one circle in another, which is, I guess, one cannibalizing the other. And so I think it's very important. And an underlying theme of a lot that we've been saying is to feed the intersection. There'll always be things that I'm crazy about that my partner isn't, and vice versa. And I don't think that's a bad thing. But I think it's extremely important to ensure that there is a healthy, nurtured, consistent amount of overlap at any time.
Yeah.
And I think that once that's there, everything else kind of benefits from an overflow in a sense.
That makes so much sense.
Yeah.
That makes so
And
much
ladies
sense.
and gentlemen, the Good Wife ends with this
I mean, you
PowerPoint
do
presentation.
that. Do the outro.
On behalf of the friends on the show, we'd like to say a big thank you to Rachel. I think you're doing an amazing job. For real. Obugalo. Follow, subscribe, or share this content. Send it to your friends who are having issues, who are not yet married, who whatever. Thank you. I really
Also, just for clarity, some of the views shared on this show
do not necessarily.
If any of us have triggered you, continue to follow Rachel. Just take it with us offline. These are our independent views.
If I stopped communicating with you, your answers have been in this show.
They have been in this show. Okay. So this show is in proud partnership with Fast TCN Studios. You guys, the set looks amazing.
Oh, yes.
It's lovely.
So these guys, first of all my guests, every time they walk into the studio, they're like, who owns this place? Oh my gosh, this place. And I feel like Agri just goes over and above to make the set.
It's lovely.
So if you're into the content creation space, you should check them out. I'm sure we're going to put the contacts on the screen. Come by, shoot your content. He's actually very affordable. I might say the price, but I will not say. Okay. Very affordable, and the quality is amazing.
Yeah.
Have you ever had issues with sound here, lighting?
Nothing.
So come by TCN Studios. TCN stands for the Cooking Nurse. So if you see the Cooking Nurse content on Instagram, they are the people behind it. All right.
Wow.
Also, Risa Naturals, who are the makers of natural body care products. So scrubs, butters, oils. I quite like that they do stuff for men. So I have a little something for my guests.
They do stuff for men?
Yeah, this is for David.
I did not know.
I know, right?
Sent you.
This one's for you.
But for a woman.
It's for a woman, not for your man.
Give your skin a daily treat with Risa Naturals.
Does this thing have instructions of use?
Because
anything that starts with a pipette.
I'm sure it's pretty obvious.
No, there is.
Are we allowed to open on the set?
Since this is a family show, we're sending you a little something for the people at home.
You got to go empty-handed.
You were busy sharing their secrets. So this is from Newman's. Newman's also the makers of the best snacks in town.
That's true.
Potato crisps, gonja crisps, nuts. They have an amazing range. So a little something for each one of you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
We're happy to come back.
I'm sure you are.
There are many things we have not said.
Yeah. When is the next? The next.
Oh Lord,
Because this thing has layers.
Yeah.
But also we
There are
have
things that have been said.
wealth of knowledge.
What happens when the best friend refuses to? We need to talk about this thing.
Part 2. There's part 2. I think there's part 3 on some angle. So let us know. We can come and dissect
Because of my gifts.
can come and
And only invite us when they are gifts.
Okay.
If they're not gifts,
Beard oil.
maybe I'll be
Feel free to end this show when you're done.
No,
This
this might be Daddy Cool. This
Daddy
might be
Cool.
the missing
the
ingredient.
music
Perhaps.
ingredients for the beer to
No, you